Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today we're decoding the hidden psychological blueprint behind why some of us just seem to notice absolutely everything. Seriously, if you've ever felt like your brain is constantly processing 1,000 little details that everyone else completely misses, trust me, you are not alone. There's actually a profound, deeply ingrained reason for it, and we're going to unpack the entire fascinating architecture of hyperawareness and vigilance.
So picture this. Have you ever walked into a room, maybe it's your office or family gathering, and before anyone even utters a single word, you instantly spot a tiny detail out of place? Or maybe you felt this tiny, almost microscopic shift in someone's tone of voice? Most people just walk into a room and, well, they see walls, furniture, and people. But for you, the room literally speaks. You're reading this invisible emotional data in the air. Let me tell you, this isn't magic, and it definitely is not a coincidence.
All right, let's get into section 1, the burden of observation. That heavy feeling of your brain being constantly turned on.
Okay, let's dive into this, because picking up on every small detail, every subtle shift, every single thing that's even slightly out of place, well, it can feel incredibly exhausting, right? To the outside world, to your friends, your family, your coworkers, you just seem like this hyper-observant person. They might even praise you for being so sharp. But psychology tells us something completely different. Your mind is actually doing this to protect you. This isn't just some quirky personality trait. It's a deeply learned survival pattern that your brain built just to keep you safe.
Moving right along to section 2, the architecture of vigilance. Let's understand this learned survival pattern. So what is the architecture of vigilance? Simply put, it describes a state where a brain that notices small changes super rapidly is typically a brain that learned very early on to read tone, pauses, and behavior to stay safe. Think about it. If your environment wasn't perfectly secure growing up, your brain basically figured out that the absolute best way to survive, the best way to ensure your personal safety, was to become a world-class expert at reading the room.
And it's fascinating how this vigilance shows up in our day-to-step lives. Externally, it looks a lot like the meticulous, detail-oriented nature of cleaners. You know the type, the kind of person who is up reorganizing a spice rack at 2 a.m. just to feel a sense of peace. Internally, though, it's that constant scanning for mistakes we see so often in overthinkers. It's this 1-2 punch of physical scanning combined with mental over-analysis, both just working massive overtime to ensure you don't miss a single potential threat.
Next up is section 3, sensing quiet rejection and looking at its childhood roots. Rejection comes quietly. I really want you to let that sink in for a second. Rejection is rarely some loud, dramatic, cinematic event. It doesn't usually announce itself with a megaphone. No, social rejection is often completely invisible. It lives entirely in the unsaid things. It's in the slight pullbacks, the micro-expressions, or, that sudden anxiety-inducing drop in text message frequency. And exactly because rejection comes so quietly, your brain developed what we call rejection sensitivity. If you faced repeated social rejection growing up, your brain was forced to adapt. It literally turned you into a highly sensitive emotional radar. You became an absolute expert at reading tone, analyzing those tiny pauses in a conversation, and tracking shifts in behavior. Why? Because your brain learned to sense emotional distance before the other person even admits it's there. You feel the gap widening before they've even consciously decided to pull away. It's an incredible emotional superpower, for sure, but man, is it exhausting. Which brings us to section 4, fixing chaos for control. Since you naturally notice all the details that everyone else simply glosses over, you're always the very first to spot the chaos when things are visually off. And what happens next? Your brain uses that hyper-awareness to fix the chaos automatically. You straighten the crooked picture frame, you clear off the cluttered desk, or maybe you're the one stepping in to smooth over that awkward tension at the family dinner table. And listen, doing this isn't about being an impossible perfectionist, not at all. It's about regaining a sense of control over your environment to make it feel predictable and safe again. Finally, let's look at section 5, seeing behavior differently. Once you truly understand these patterns, the whole shebang reframes. You start seeing behavior in a completely different way. You stop getting so angry at yourself for noticing too much. You stop wondering, why can't I just relax in a room like everyone else seems to? Instead, you can actually step back and appreciate your brain's profound capacity to adapt, because your hyper-awareness isn't a flaw. Actually, it's living proof of your resilience. It's proof that your mind is deeply, incredibly invested in keeping you safe. So I want to leave you with a question to chew on. Now that you've seen the actual architecture behind your own mind, what's it going to be? Will you keep fighting your hyper-awareness, or will you embrace the brilliant survival mechanism it truly is? Ultimately, it's a choice about how you view your own mind moving forward. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me for this deep dive. If you found this explainer valuable, be sure to subscribe for more real psychology breakdowns just like this, where we turn complex research into clear, actionable insights. I'll catch you in the next one.